All right. Uh, so we have used past year CAT questions for this sectional test as well, KitCAT 3. And though I have seen the questions before, so I'm not going to claim that this is my first interaction with the questions. But still, I am going to solve these questions as I did when I saw the questions first time, so that you have a fair idea of how to go about solving the sectional test, right? So here we go. In 1787, Jeremy Bentham published a lengthy pamphlet entitled Defense of Usury, okay, showing the impolicy of the present legal restraints on the terms of pecuniary bargains. He was concerned with loans between individuals or business enterprises. The legal restraints for limits or on interest rates paid or received. Usury was and is the popular term for charging interest rates in excess of legal limits. Okay. After this particular sentence, even if I am not aware of the meaning of the word usury, the entire passage should start making sense to me at least, because the unfamiliar term usury has been defined in this particular sentence. So I should, pause for a while, and I may look back, and I may look back at the initial two sentences, and I may see, you know, the context of discussion now. I will be able to better understand the context of discussion. So what is usury? Charging interest rates in excess of legal limits. And this guy, Jeremy Bentham, published a pamphlet in defense of usury, which means he supported the practice of charging interest rates more than the legal limit permits. Okay, let's see. Where does the author go with this? Bentham makes an overwhelmingly persuasive case for the proposition he sets forth at the beginning of the pamphlet, that no man of ripe ears and sound mind, acting freely and with his eyes open, ought to be hindered with a view of his advantage from making such a bargain in the way of obtaining money as he thinks fit. So basically, author says that this guy Jeremy made a strong case in favor of the practice of usury. This guy Jeremy proposed that if a person is sane, if he is in sound mind, he should not be prohibited from obtaining money, obtaining loan at whatever interest rates he wants to pay for that loan. This guy Jeremy made a strong case. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm clear about Jeremy's point of view, but what I'm not clear about is author's point of view about this practice of usury. So one thing at the back of my mind right now is author's point of view. What is the author thinking and what is the author going to say on this particular practice? Okay. During the nearly 2 centuries since Bentham's pamphlet was published, his arguments have been widely accepted by economists and as widely neglected by politicians. I know of no economist of any standing from that time to this who has favored a legal limit on the rate of interest that borrowers could pay. Okay, so economists also support him. Politicians don't support him. As Bentham wrote, this word as suggests a subtle support. Author is probably going to support as Bentham wrote, in great political questions, wide indeed is the distance between conviction and practice. Bentham's explanation for the grounds of prejudice, blah, 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 quote unquote, I'm going to skim through the passage now. I've understood Bentham's point of view. Is there an author's point of view? Is all that I'm looking for now. Okay. And I see the entire passage is in most part of the passage is in quotes now. And because author has presented Bentham's point of view and shown a subtle support here, we can conclude safely that author is of the viewpoint that there should be no upper limit, there should be no ceiling on the interest rates. Legislation should not be made in that regard. Okay, now let's look at the questions. The author is making a case for, all right, option 1, varying interest rates on loans. It's not about varying interest rates. Variation must already be present. Author is not making a case for variation. He is rather making a case for not having a ceiling or upper limit on the interest rates. Okay. Option 2, withdrawing the legislation on usury could be the answer. There should be no legislation. Reducing the interest rate difference on large deposits as against small, alien idea. Ensuring that owners get interest rates which are determined by free market operations. Equally good. Author sounds like a supporter of free market operations. Now between 2 and 4. Option 2 has an important term, legislation. Author talks about law. While option 4 says ensuring that owners get interest rates which are determined by free market operations. It does not directly mention the word legislation or withdrawal of legislation. So if I compare 2 and 4, and if I have to mark one of them, then now there are two options. Either I can leave the question if I'm not sure. If I get stuck between 2 and 4, if it is taking if it's taking too much time, or I compare 2 and 4 on multiple grounds possible, and I see I try to discriminate between them, and I try to identify one difference which can help me get to the correct answer. And this difference is the presence of the word legislation. Author's entire argument is against law. The law that bans usury, that puts a ceiling, that puts a ceiling on interest rates. So option 2 is the best available answer choice. Question number 2. Mischief of usury legislation has increased because, okay. Now let me try to find out the keyword of this question, mischief. First paragraph did not have anything like that. Second paragraph, first half did not have anything like that. So here it is. Developments since Bentham's days have increased the mischief done by usury legislation. Okay. I predict that the answer would be found in the next sentences, following sentences. Economic progress has provided the ordinary man with the means to save money. Fair enough. The spread of banks, savings and loan associations, and the like has given the ordinary man the facilities for saving. Okay, same thing. For the first time in history, the working class may well be the net lenders. So they have money to lend. They have savings rather than net borrowers. Okay, but wait. The idea is still in continuation. So I'm not going to go back to the question yet. They are also the ones who have fewest alternatives who find it hardest to avoid legal regulations and who are therefore hardest hit by them. Okay. So basically, author is telling me that economic progress over the years has made it possible for the ordinary man, the working class, to save some money and to lend money, to be net lenders. However, this is the class of people which is hardest hit by rules, regulations, legislations. Uh, and that is why probably he says mischief done by usury legislation has increased. Okay, let's look at the options now. Option one, loans have increased. Not really. The number of loans has not even been talked about. So this is alien. More people have become lenders. Mm, again, the total number, the absolute number of lenders is not known. Data is insufficient. So this is a twist in the tail, distorted fact, I would say. Option three, small lenders are hardest hit by the legislation. Could be the answer. The small lenders are hardest hit, and that is why mischief has increased over the years, maybe. More people among the working class are net lenders. This is also factually true, factually correct. So I'm now stuck between 3 and 4. I'll have to examine the logical aspects of the question and then choose the correct answer. The question says mischief of usury legislation has increased. Now, guys, I am essentially looking for a negative answer choice which has a negative tone, because the question itself has a negative tone. Mischief has increased. If you look at number 4, if more people among working class have become net lenders, it is something positive. That cannot be called the mischief of usury legislation, if you understand the logical aspect of it. Therefore, we have to go with 3. Because small lenders are hardest hit by the legislation, mischief of usury legislation has increased. Option 3 is the correct answer. Again, I would say a moderate level question, maybe for some of you difficult too. So moderate to difficult, because 3 and 4 are both factually correct and mentioned right there near the keyword of the question. These are the questions which you should either leave or give them their due share of time, analyze the logical aspects, and then zero in on one answer choice. Moving on. Author suggests that, okay, an open-ended question. So let's start with the options. Option 1, usury is desirable. Well. Author says the usury law is not desirable. That is not equivalent to saying that usury is desirable. Maybe he's saying usury is okay. Even if some people are charging exorbitant interest rates, if they're lending money at exorbitant interest rates, it's okay. Law should not interfere here. Whoever wants to obtain money should be able to obtain money at whatever interest rate he wants to obtain. So usury is okay, but author has not said it is desirable, because that would change the tone of this idea. So this is wrong. Factually twisted, factually incorrect. Option 2, there should be no legal restrictions on interest rates. Absolutely, this is basically the central idea. So this was an easy question. Moving on. To reclaim his own money, man becomes an oppressor because. We'll have to find out the sentence in the passage. To reclaim his own money, man becomes an oppressor. Let's see. Now, while the money is hoped for and for a short time after it has been received, okay, he who lends is a friend and a benefactor. By the time money is spent and the evil hour of returning it or reckoning has come, the benefactor is found to have changed his nature and to have put on the image of a tyrant and the oppressor. It is an oppression for a man to reclaim his money. So basically, to reclaim his own money, man becomes an oppressor because the borrower does not want to return it. Essentially, this is what, to reclaim his own money, man has to become, or man becomes an oppressor because the borrower does not want to return. Okay. My answer choice should be along these lines. Let's see. Option one, he will reclaim it with high interest. Interest rates are predetermined. So this is not the correct answer because the borrower cannot repay. Maybe, maybe not. Because borrowers do not like to part with money. They do not want to return. Can they or can they not return? We don't know. But they do not want to return is what we can definitely infer from the information given. Option 3 is better than option 2. I would say option 2 is second best. The best available answer choice is option 3. Okay, so goes. The critical need being over the money lent is of less value to the borrower. This is actually opposite in tone. Because if the money has become less valuable to the borrower, he should rather be willing to part from it. He should rather be willing to give it away. So this is not what is happening. Question 5. According to the author, who should be allowed to borrow and lend at any interest rate? Here he said, person with sound mind, no man of ripe years, which means mature, no man who is adult and he's of sound mind, who's acting freely, no man should be hindered from obtaining money at whatever interest rate he thinks fit. Okay. So who should be allowed to borrow and lend at any interest rate? Anyone who's of sane mind. Correct answer option 3. Sane men acting freely and with full knowledge. So an easy question. It does not specify small lenders and borrowers. He does not specify individuals and businesses. And he is not talking about money lenders only, because the question also talks of borrowers. This was an interesting question. The author is most likely what? Okay. Option 1, a politician. Out of question. Option 2, a plutocrat. Okay. Who's a plutocrat? Someone who supports the rule of wealthy people. Because he supports usury. He supports the practice of lending money at higher interest rates than fixed by law. He may be a plutocrat. So let's keep it for now. A reformed post-Glasnost Marxist, where does that come from? In fact, if you know anything about Marxism or communism or socialism, if there is one thing that author is not, he's not a Marxist, he's not a communist, because a Marxist or a communist or a socialist, for that matter, would never support the practice of usury, lending money at exorbitant interest rates. So this is opposite in tone. A staunch supporter of free market operations. Well, this is also a good answer choice. Now, between 2 and 4, we cannot be sure that whether author is himself a plutocrat. He is one of those who wants the rule of wealthy people to be established. We can't be sure of that. Probably the second best option. but he is definitely a supporter of free market operation that is visible. It is explicitly written. He supports the practice of usury. Rather, he opposes any legislation against it, which means he is a staunch supporter of free market operations. That makes a better argument. Okay. So this was passage 1. I would say you should be able to obtain at least 4 on 6. You should get 4 questions correct, at least. Anything greater than or equal to 4 is a good score on this particular passage. And 10 minutes is what you can afford to spend. Okay. The second passage was simple. It was about the carbon cycle and the role of different bacteria and fungi in the carbon cycle. So guys, why did I include such a short passage in this entire exercise? First thing, this is a past year question, so all the questions are actual CAT questions. So, this year we expect anything and we expect everything. The only thing that we can predict in this year's paper is unpredictability. So that is why I included one small passage, because 40-minute ka section hai, it is possible that you get to see some small passages, but they are reasoning based. Trust me, if it's a short passage, it will challenge you. It is going to challenge you. The questions are going to be critical reasoning based, or it is going to challenge you in all likelihood. All right. The passage contains information that would answer which of the following questions about the carbon cycle. All right. Does this question get answered? What are some of the compounds that are broken down in the carbon cycle? What are some of the compounds that get broken down in the carbon cycle? Okay. So we get to see alkaloids, terpenes, and flavonoids, cellulose, polymers. These entire things. So question number 1 gets answered. Question number 2, why are some compounds that are involved in the carbon cycle less reactive than the others? Passage does not answer why. It only tells us that there are some compounds which are less reactive than others. It does not give you the reasons why. Question 3, what role do bacteria and fungi play in the carbon cycle? What role do they play? This sentence tells you the role. Some bacteria possess the unique and extremely important biochemical asset of being able to catalyze the oxidation of, so this is the role they play, they catalyze the oxidation of numerous inert products. So this question also gets answered. What is their role? Correct answer, option 4. Author implies that which of the following is the primary reason that degradation is as important as synthesis to the smooth operation of the carbon cycle. Okay, let's. So here he says, in this homeostatic system, a great number of organic compounds are synthesized, transformed, and decomposed continuously. These processes constitute the major parts of carbon cycle. For the smooth operation of this cycle, degradation is just as important as synthesis. The green plants produce greater quantities of this. The green plants cannot use as source, cannot use these things as sources of energy during respiration. Okay. The release of the carbon in these compounds for recycling depends almost entirely on blah, blah, blah. All right. So why is degradation important? Because if degradation does not happen, carbon will not be returned. The carbon cycle would not be complete. Carbon would not be returned to the, basically, it will not be recycled essentially. Let's see. Option 1, most of the polymers and organic compounds found in the plant kingdom are chemically unstable alien. The synthesis of some organic material deprives life processes of an energy source? Again, nowhere to be found. The decomposition permits the recycling of carbon that would otherwise be fixed in certain substances. Absolutely correct. This is what we're looking for. Option 3 is the correct answer. Many organisms cannot use plants as a source of food, but can feed on bacteria and the relationship between other organisms and bacteria is not present in the passage. It's not given. So alien idea again. Number 9, author's contention about the importance of bacteria and fungi in the production of energy for life processes would be most clearly strengthened if which of the following were to be true. CR question, critical reasoning. For these questions, we must first understand what the author's contention is in the first place. So what is the author's contention? Let's see. Author says some bacteria and fungi possess the unique, okay, this word is important, and extremely important biochemical asset of being able to catalyze the oxidation of numerous inert products and also the release of carbon in these compounds for recycling depends almost entirely on the action of both aerobic and anaerobic bacteria and certain types of fungi. This expression almost entirely tells us that if these bacteria and fungi are not present, probably the process would not be possible. Unique word reaffirms that idea. They possess a unique property, which means other compounds do not, other organisms, microorganisms do not have this property. Okay, let's see. Option 1, both aerobes and anaerobes provide sources of energy through the decomposition of organic material. Does not have any impact, irrelevant to the argument. Most compounds containing carbon are unavailable as energy sources except to some bacteria and fungi. So indirectly, option 2 tells us that most of the compounds which contain which contain carbon cannot be decomposed by other microorganisms than some bacteria and fungi. This is exactly what we are looking for. Now, if this were true, author's argument that they are unique and the process almost entirely depends on bacteria and fungi will be strengthened if other microorganisms are incapable. So option 2 is the correct answer. All right. Guys, the third passage was about a natural phenomenon, atmospheric jet streams. And when I read this passage, I could not properly visualize what was happening, though I was able to visualize to a fair degree, I would say. A reasonable visualization was possible. But I would say I was 100% sure of what I was imagining was correct. So what I do with these passages is, if a scientific passage, if a technical passage is beyond my grasp, beyond my ken, what I tend to do is I read the first 2 paragraphs. If I understand that this passage is going to be tricky and it is going to take a lot of time for me to understand this passage, I only read the first 2 paragraphs, get the big picture, have the basics in place, and then adopt hunter approach. I read the question and I see if the questions are doable. If they're direct fact-based questions, I do them. If they're not, if they're understanding-based, I leave that passage for the time being. I move on to the other questions, and then if time permits, I come back to that passage. This is my trick with such passages. Now, it can vary, guys. It is possible that some of you found this passage easier to comprehend than the first passage, but for me, the first passage was easy, probably because I am aware of the term usury, or probably because I was able to figure out, even if I were not aware of the term usually, I would be able to figure out the meaning through that one sentence I talked about. So first passage was easy for me. This passage, the third passage, was a bit tricky to visualize. Uh, Geological processes, natural phenomena, I am not very comfortable with them, to be honest. So what I do is I read the first two. The genre does not matter. The trick here is read the first two paragraphs, go to the questions, and see what you can manage best. Okay. An atmospheric jet stream is what? It is what? Let's see what it is. It's a rare phenomenon. Okay. Having read the first two paragraphs, guys, it was pretty easy for me to answer the first question, question number 10, without even referring back to the passage. Because I read only first two paragraphs, I remembered reading something along these lines. A jet stream is thousands of kilometers long, hundreds of kilometers wide, and several kilometers deep, which obviously points to option 2. It is three-dimensional. So option 2 was, this was an easy question. However difficult passage might have been. It is likely, given the information in the passage, that the detailed studies of atmospheric streams have been made over. Okay. Having read the first two paragraphs again, I knew that I know the answer, or at least I can answer this question if my basic geography is in place. It was written here, with abundant radiosonic data now available. So data is available, abundant data is available over the northern hemisphere. Absolutely correct. It is possible to map blah 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 and to forecast them. Okay. So abundant data is available over the northern hemisphere. It is possible to map the jet streams in the upper troposphere. Let's see. South Africa does not lie in the northern hemisphere. Australia does not lie in the northern hemisphere. Antarctica obviously does not lie in the. Now, so it is likely that it is Europe for which abundant data is available. Again, an easy question, guys. Question 12. The atmospheric jet stream consists of what? Okay. Now I'll have to read a bit. But given that I've already had a taste of the questions, I would not hesitate in going further with this passage. I have been able to obtain a decent score already. I'm sure that these two questions are correct. I'm 99% sure that I've obtained +6 in less than 6 minutes because I only read the first two paragraphs and that helped me answer these two questions. So I can afford to spend some more time here. Atmospheric jet stream consists of what? Does it consist of clouds bearing saturated moisture? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. Debris caused by meteorites, देखना पड़ेगा. Air currents, wait. The atmospheric jet stream consists of air current. I think I read. If the vertical wind shear is of the order 5 to 10 meter per second per kilometer and the lateral shear is of the order of 5 meter per second per. One thing is certain, guys. Well, obviously, the atmospheric jet stream consists of air currents. In fact, here also, it's a strong, narrow air current that is concentrated along nearly horizontal axis. I have read it. Atmospheric jet stream has been defined as strong air currents. So, I do not even want to check the other options. I do not want to spend time and I want to take that risk here. So, I don't have to, go for ghost hunting here, clouds, meteoroids ढूंढने की जरूरत भी नहीं है. Obvious है, air current तो है ही है. Exactly. So, this is common sense now. It comes down to common sense now. Okay. According to present knowledge, Jet streams are caused when? Okay. Maybe for this one, finally, I have to do some brain exercise. I will have to use some brain muscle. Jet streams are caused when? When are they caused? Hmm. So third, now I read the third paragraph because I had already read the first two. The third paragraph tells me a persistent band of strong winds occurs during the winter season over this region, okay, flowing from the southwest and leading tropical air northern India into juxtaposition with polar and Arctic air from Siberia, okay. A similar region of confluence of air masses with vastly different temperatures exists over the central and eastern United States, leading to a maximum frequency of occurrence of jet streams. So maximum frequency of occurrence of jet stream is when confluence of air masses happens. Confluence is convergence of air masses coming together, okay, with vastly different temperatures. Okay, so two air masses from two different geographies, regions converge, they come together, they have vast temperature differences, and that becomes a region of a jet stream. I understand the idea. This much I can understand. I'm not that, you know, illiterate in understanding geology. Okay. So polar and Arctic air, this was just an example. Not every jet stream is formed by polar and Arctic air. Huh? So I'll have to understand that also. Option two, air masses with considerably different temperatures. Haha, I am loving it. So this is easy question. Speeds were not different, temperatures were different. This is something I have not read until now. So for me, it is alien. At least it is irrelevant to the question. Okay, moving on. Jet streams affect air traffic by. I think I can definitely answer this question. The question itself tells me that it is in my ken. Sometimes it is the question statement which fills you with confidence. Jet streams affect air traffic. The answer has to be explicitly written in the passage. How does jet stream affect air traffic? Let's see. I just have to locate the answer. Okay. Here it is, last para. Yes. Because of their strong winds, jet streams play an important role in the economy of air traffic. All right. Economy means it operating expenses probably they increase the operating expenses. That is why he's talking about economy of air traffic. Headwinds must be outlasted by extra fuel. Here we go. Dude, you are not telling me anything new. I could already figure it out. Now, this is called inference. If you read something, just don't read it. Figure out what is written. Figure out, read between the lines. So they play an important role in the economy of air traffic, means they increase the operating expenses. Next line tells me that they do. Extra fuel is needed, which takes up useful cargo space also. So double whammy. One extra fuel is needed. Second, that fuel occupies the space for cargo, so you can't even earn through cargo. Cat, wow, we love this word for some reason. So CAT is often associated with the strong vertical wind shears found in the jet stream. It is a hazard to passenger and crew safety also. Okay, okay. So accident, accident risk increase because the airframe is stressed. It also decreases the useful life of the aircraft. Fine enough. Delayed flights, no, not read anywhere. One is out. If one is out, this is out. Increased, the two is there in all the answer choices. So it is between 3 and 4 now. Their propensity to cause accidents, yes, it's a hazard to passenger and crew safety. So this is also valid, which means 2 is also eliminated, option 2. Damaging the airframe, increase stress on the airframe. Yes, that's also. Now, can I say increased stress means damage to the airframe? Yes, because useful life of the aircraft is reduced, the next line says, which means the damage has been caused. So correct answer should be 2, 3, and 4, which is option 3. Summer monsoon over India is caused by what? Okay, let's see. I think I can manage this question as well, even if I have not read the entire passage. Summer monsoon. I see summer monsoon here. I also see India here. And how are they caused? A belt of strong easterly winds is found over Southeast Asia, India, Arabian Sea, tropical Africa. This tropical easterly jet stream is tied in with the weather disturbances of, okay, and that is how it is formed. Okay, let's see. Could it get easier? Could it get easier? I don't think so. I would love the cat setters if I get such questions, you know. So these are easy pickings. Option 4, correct answer. So I'd say it was a 6-on-6 passage. An interesting fact about this passage was I did not even bother to read the entire passage preliminarily. I did not bother because I found it tough to picturize, to visualize what is happening in wind, what type of shafts is it forming, wo jo likha hua tha, wind shear and all that. I was not able to picture it perfectly, 100% to nahi kar pa raha tha. Yet 6-on-6 passage. So far so good. All right. Guys, I don't know why I have this intuition. Call it a hunch, call it experience, call it intuition. I have this intuition that this year we are going to see some critical reasoning questions in the VRC section of CAT. We CR questions are always part of CAT anyway, but they are part of, or they are based on longer passages, usually these years. But I have this feeling that this year, small paragraph based critical reasoning questions may make a comeback. So let's see. These are all CAT PYQs, by the way. Again. Question 16 says toughened hiring standards have not been the primary cause. They have not been the primary cause of staff shortage. Okay. The shortage of teachers is primarily caused by the fact that in recent years, teachers have not experienced any improvement in working conditions. Okay. So standards have not increased, working conditions have deteriorated. That is why staff is short. Okay. And we are supposed to support this claim. Option 1 says many teachers already in the profession would not have been hired under the new hiring standards. It will actually weaken the argument because it would prove that hiring standards have become stringent and they are responsible for staff shortage. While the argument says they are not hiring standards are not responsible for staff shortage, it is working conditions, poor working conditions. So one goes out. Option 2, today more teachers are entering the profession with a higher educational level. Somehow it would also weaken the argument. It is also along the lines of option 1. Some teachers have cited higher standards for high. This is also weakening the argument rather than strengthening it. Many teachers have cited low pay and lack of professional freedom, that is poor working conditions, support to the argument. A proposed ordinance requires the installation in new homes of sprinklers automatically triggered by the presence of a fire. Okay, this is a fact. But what is the author's argument? However, a home builder argued that because more than 90% of residential fires are extinguished by a household member, residential sprinklers would only marginally decrease property damage. Okay. So the argument is these new automatic machines will not reduce the property damage much because 90% fires are extinguished by they're extinguished manually by someone. Someone has to extinguish the fire. Okay. Now we are to weaken this argument. Option 4 is the correct answer because if the largest proportion of property damage, largest proportion, let's say 80%, 70% of property damage is caused by residential fires when no household member is present, then these automatic sprinklers, automatic machines are going to help much and they are going to reduce the damage, not marginally, but greatly, significantly. Okay? Make sense? In question 18, author says, because royalties from books and articles are retained by faculty members, computer software, royalties from computer software should also be retained by them. Now, author basically compares royalties obtained by books and those obtained from computer software. This is a comparison based question. For this comparison to be true, these two items should be similar. Book should be similar to computer software. Only then author's argument holds water. Therefore, option 4 is the correct answer. In terms of criteria used to award royalties, both of them are similar. Only then it holds water. Huh? Easy. Okay. Now comes the most dreaded component of ERC section, parajumbles. जिसको देखते ही, and some of you 5 देखते ही ना, when you see 5 sentences, leave. The first instinct is humans, guys, fight or flight is a normal human response, fight or flight. And when an enemy has become so strong that it has defeated many battles, it has defeated, you have lost many battles to it. Your first instinct on seeing that adversary is flight. Even if the physical state of that adversary is not, in this particular battle, it is not, healthy enough. That fear overpowers you, it overwhelms you. So remember, every battle with parajumble is different. The physical state, contextually speaking, of parajumble question could be different. Make sure you read it thoroughly, and you do not go by your instinct of leaving parajumble altogether because it's a theta, it's a 5-sentence parajumble and the probability is 1 by 120. I know the odds are, bleak maybe, but read the question, give it its due share of time, and its parajumble ka due share of time is 1 minute per question. So give 1 minute to every parajumble question, regardless of whether you think you'll be able to solve it or not. Give it 1 minute, and then whatever you think is the answer, mark it, move on. That should be your strategy always. Okay, in this particular question, I started with sentence D because it says if ever there was a larger than life character, it was Greeny. So I was able to predict safely that the next sentence should tell me how he was larger than life. The first mandatory pair that I was able to form also, it was also easy. In fact, the first concrete triplet that I was able to form was EAC. How? E tells me that this guy had an old-fashioned attitude to things such as training and fitness programs. The next sentence should tell me what was his attitude. What was his attitude? A tells me so. He did not believe in them. So he was old-fashioned. He did not believe in training and fitness programs. If he did not believe in training and fitness programs, cricket for him was a way of making friends, having fun, and not, you know, uh, uh, warming up or training or building your body, etc. No. So EAC becomes a triplet, beautiful triplet. D should precede E because these three, EAC together, he played cricket to make a lot of friends, to drink beer. This is how he was a larger than life character. He was a larger than life character. He had fun. He played for fun. So EAC, explain the idea presented in D, which naturally leaves us with B as the opening sentence. Correct answer, BD, EAC. Okay, I hope some of you at least got it right. But even if you did not get it right, you could definitely get question number 20 right. Now, sentence A tells me that ethical consumption can be expensive. So the next sentence should tell me why and how ethical consumption can be expensive. D tells me so. It says caring has a tax. So it continues the idea, Why is it expensive? Because caring has a tax. So guys, AD is a concrete pair. Obviously, B is the twist in the tail. So by contrast follows. And then C. So ADBC is the correct answer. Hope most of you got this one right. Easy question. This level of parajumble you should be able to solve. If you are not able to solve this kind of parajumble, then you are under practiced. Maybe 19th you are not able to solve still, but 20th you should definitely be able to solve all of you. Or else you are under practiced. 21. Even this level you should be able to solve. How? B was the B was the obvious opening sentence. It introduces a work, Opus Majus, by this guy Bacon. After B, E gives us a description of the work. This was a huge 840-page treatise. So E gives us description of the work. Then A describes it further, the content of this work. It contains detailed treatment of mathematics, blah, 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 blah. D carries the idea forward. It is also visionary because it predicts later inventions such as microscopes, telescopes, etc. So this is a new idea. And then C says, however, it should be remembered that Bacon was also someone else. This is a digression from the main discussion. So C should be last. So BEA, DC should be the correct answer. So guys, this was KitCAT 3, the third sectional test. I hope this entire series has been helpful. The RC practice series, the 3 sectional test KitCATs, the Q&A. I recommend that you just write 1 or 2 more mock tests and leave it at that. Please do not overthink now. Please do not try to overachieve. Whatever you could do, you have already done. And if you have not practiced enough, you can only regret it now. You cannot really in 2, 3, 4 days, you cannot turn the scores around. Not really. So be realistic. Be happy with whatever you're getting. Just look back and see where you started. If you have made a decent progress, it's a well fought battle. Uh, we probably, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll have one last Q&A in a day or two. So we'll meet for the one last time before CAT. Till then, bye bye. Good night.